What's up, guys? It's Quincy with Coin Club Crypto. Welcome to my channel. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and talk about it with your friends if you like what I have to talk about. And today, I'm going to be talking about tokenizing contracts or tokenizing contractual agreements. Now, I bet you've probably heard a lot in the space: tokenize this, tokenize that, NFT this, contract that, smart contract that, and just a whole bunch of different buzzwords and terms. And this is actually a really interesting concept that I really want to dive into, that I think will sort of ground a lot of different terms for you. Now, for one, you can actually take contractual agreements and create NFTs with them. And in this agreement, you essentially have, let's say, two NFT tokens. One being the asset NFT, basically illustrating the holder of this token will be owed the proceeds of the contract upon the fulfillment of the parameters. And then the liability token that essentially says whoever is possessing this token is liable for the contents of the contract. And essentially what you can end up doing is not only are you able to essentially automate the executions of these contracts by being able to stream outside Oracle data into them and then being able to have programmatic executions, but also you can have secondary markets of being able to take the fulfillment of different contracts and sell the rights to that to other people. So let's say you had, person A had a contract with person B for $100. And upon the fulfillment of that contract, person B will be rewarded the $100 for holding the token. Well, let's say person B wanted to get short-term liquidity out of that, and let's say the fulfillment of the contract was going to take a day, and they wanted to get $95 out today as opposed to waiting a full 24 hours. Well, they could sell that token on the secondary market for $95, and then upon the fulfillment of the agreement, the secondary party can essentially get the proceeds of the original contract. Now, what ends up being really cool about this is you wouldn't actually just give the token to another party, because that would actually just be super risky for them, because what if you don't fulfill your contract? So that token would actually be sitting in another contract that would be waiting for fulfillment of the first contract to release the proceeds to the secondary party you sold the contract to. And then essentially giving you a liability token, basically instilling that you're liable for the $100 or $95 that you just almost borrowed, in a sense, from this person that you were engaging with. But in reality, it's just off of the execution of the original contract, basically illustrating who's owed what in this scenario. And this goes further down in both directions in terms of selling the asset and selling the liability, because also, let's say you had a contract that was collateralized. So let's say you had an agreement, and in the contract you had $50 worth of collateral for that same sort of agreement, and that agreement didn't go through, and let's say there was a dispute over what happened, and it goes into some sort of arbitration. Let's say it's the court systems. Well, you could sell this token and say, hey, look, there's at the very least $50 worth of collateral in this contract to be released on top of whatever's due from whatever you were liable being released or whatever. And essentially you could say, hey, I want to sell you this contract for $30 to be able to get some short-term liquidity out of that, and maybe be able to be essentially wash your hands of the deal in a sense, and then have somebody else deal with the arbitration process. But what essentially you're able to do is with tokenizing, and I think these would be NFTs because these are unique contracts essentially illustrating what part of the contract that you essentially possess. But the thing that's really cool about this is now that you're able to tokenize these agreements, you can essentially have different parties be able to redeem short-term liquidity out of future labor that has already been contractually agreed upon. Oh my goodness, my lips are just doing me dirty today. Anywho, but the main thing is, because you're able to tokenize these contractual agreements and potentially even be able to automate them, you're able to have this fluid market of essentially being able to tokenize labor and being able to leverage the future outlet of your labor by being able to sell the token of that labor today. And then everything comes down to execution and arbitration and everything in between. But that's sort of just like a general idea of what you can sort of picture a useful idea of an NFT, tokenizing contracts, and then really just showing what that execution would look like. And that's sort of something that already happens today, but it'd probably be more of a automated process for how they sort of do contracts now. So imagine if you were a lawyer and you wanted to create a set of automated contracts that have certain triggers based off of certain events. It can essentially make your job a bit easier in terms of being able to, consult these deals by being able to have these programmatic triggers for different executions for different deals that may be. And I think these can be as complicated or as nuanced or as simple as you may want them to be. But essentially, it's just an automation mechanism for contractual agreements. But I hope you like what I had to say there, and I hope it really got your sort of brains turning on that, because these are NFTs of contracts that people essentially sell on secondary markets based off of future contractually agreed upon labor. And I think it's something that's going to be huge, because it's sort of something that's huge now. We just call it debt. I just think what's going to end up happening is it's sort of like a new type of debt, a labor-backed type of debt, in a sense. I owe you based off of something that I was going to do anyway, and I can essentially pull short-term liquidity based out of that agreement that I've already agreed upon with you. I don't know, maybe I think there's something very interesting there, but I just wanted to start the conversation. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.